talk about an incredible reading month. I want to start this video by giving a huge shout out to my top tier Wizard Master patrons. Thank you Nico, Aaron, Scott, Mike, Chris, Leslie, Doug, Weistich, Twaney, Spyro, Daniel, Chris, and Patrick. Thank you all so much. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today guys, we're going to be taking a walk down memory lane for what I read over the past month. But before we get into that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for links to all my social media, including my Patreon, if you want to help support the channel and what I do here. I greatly appreciate all of my passions for helping me pursue this fantastic hobby. With that out of the way, guys, it's been a great reading month, and it's had its ups and downs. My patron picks can't seem to catch a break because I feel like for the last 2 months I've DNF'd my patron picks. And I don't know what it is, but I need to do better. So we're going to start with the DNFs. We're going to get that right out of the way. My patrons picked for me to read both Stephen Aryan and Mushroom Blues by Adrian M. Gibson. Now, I tried 2 different Stephen Aryan books. These are 2 trilogies set within the same world. And I don't think that this world particularly is for me from the works of Stephen Aryan. These were some of the first books that I was ever gifted by an author here on the channel, so I'm keeping these on my shelf. However, I have decided to go ahead and DNF The Age of Dread just because I keep bouncing off of these particular worlds from Stephen Aryan. I still love Stephen Aryan. In fact, Blood Dim Tide is getting ready to come out, which is a highly anticipated book. I will be reading that as soon as it is in my hands. But yeah, for some reason, this particular world just isn't quite working for me. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of POVs. There's a lot of different threads going on that don't exactly connect all that well until later into books. And it's a struggle for me to read those. So unfortunately, I am calling it on those 2 series. And then, of course, there's Mushroom Blues by Adrian M. Gibson. This one I was very excited for, but I knew there was a chance it wasn't going to be for me. Nothing against the writing, it's just, it leans far too heavily into the mushroom aspect of Mushroom Blues. Like, the buildings are mushrooms, there's fungal people, there's spores, mycelium beards, and stuff like that. It was a bit too much heavily themed on the mushrooms for me that I bounced off of it fairly early, but I have since gifted my physical copy to another person, and hopefully they enjoy the book. So I've got one more DNF because I dipped into my July TBR early, and I immediately bounced off of this one, which I knew was a risk because I've bounced off it twice before. And this is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. And there's just something about this writing that I feel like Neil Gaiman's trying to be funny, and it didn't work for me. Like, there was a paragraph on like page 2 where it describes 2 different gentlemen, and then it's just like, here's how you can tell them apart. And then at the end of the paragraph, it's like, they look nothing alike, by the way. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, like, just tell me they don't look alike, or just don't include that paragraph. For some reason, that just didn't work for me. And then later on, like, we're told that this girl is, like, she's hidden under some rags and some boxes, and then, like, they rip away the covers, but, like, rags and boxes don't translate to covers. I don't know, maybe this is just me not working with the story or expecting something different. This one's not quite for me, so this is also a DNF from my July TBR. And we'll talk about all the stuff that I've already dipped into 3, or at least 2 books. 3 books in my July TBR. But let's talk about the stuff that I have finished so far. Digitally, I finished The Gorgon Incident and Other Stories by John Bierce. This is a collection set within the world of Mage Errant, spanning about 500 years of Mage Errant history. So we get to see a lot of ancient history in these nice short story collections. This was me returning to the book. I read about 70% of this book, and I had a phenomenal time with this. This was really good, and now I've read all of Mage Errant except for, I think, the Rack, which I've been told the Rack is fairly short, so that's kind of where I'm sitting at with Mage Errant. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. Very good. Then I did Small Town Problems by Chris Ritchie, and this is like a novella kind of giving some like Resident Alien vibes, First Contact type of deal, but instead of like the abrasiveness of Resident Alien, which is the Alec Tudyk TV show that's on Netflix, or you can watch it at a couple other places. But instead of that abrasiveness from the alien, like it's a lot more cozier and welcoming and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this novella. I felt the end was a hair rushed. I would actually have liked to see even a few more chapters included in this book. But I gave this one about a 3.5 to a 4 out of 5. Very enjoyable, short sci-fi read that I highly recommend you check it out if you're just wanting a nice, wholesome, kind of just First Contact alien story read. It's got some good stuff in it. I really liked this. And the main character, Bill Porter, I just like the way he remembers his wife and what he's been through. It's a really, really good story. On to the physical stuff, because there's a stack of it here that you can't see. I finally read The Rune Lords. I've been meaning to read this book for going on like 18 years or something like that. It's been a long time coming, and I really enjoyed this story. I liked the tone. It's a bit on the darker side of classic fantasy. I liked the characters. I liked the villains. The problems come for me in this story with the magic system, because there's a hard magic system and there's a soft magic system. And some things aren't explained super well with the antagonist earlier on in the story, with the magic system, that had me like asking a bunch of questions. Me asking those questions, actually, I felt detracted from being able to sink into the story, because I'm just like, wait, I don't understand how this magic system is working, because there's kind of like some morality question. Well, there's a lot of morality questions around the magic system. Think Brandon Sanderson's Warbreaker, kind of like the way the breath works, and that's kind of how the endowments work here within the Rune Lords. But like they've got like on the back end, kind of like with software and stuff like that, you got the front end and the back end. The back end of those magic systems are very similar between Farland and Sanderson. Considering Sanderson studied under Farland, that would make sense that maybe Sanderson borrowed some elements from this magic system. However, it's just the way certain thing works with like metabolism and stuff like that isn't explained very well throughout the story, and then it kind of like answers it in the very end of the story. So I did have some issues with that, but I am continuing on with this series. Next up, of course, I came back and I read some more Andrew Rowe. We've got The Torch That Ignites the Stars. This one is the third Arcane Ascension, and I enjoyed this one. It's been a while since I read a Corrin Cadence story, but I mean, it was good coming back to Corrin. And I'd give this one about a 4-star read. The end is definitely a cliffhanger, and I'm just excited to see where these characters kind of take me. Again, we're very deep into the series here. I'm going to be very vague because I don't want to spoil this for people who are interested in reading these books. I have done a Why You Should Read on this series. It'll be in the description box down below if you want to check that out. I highly recommend you go watch that because I love this series. It's so entertaining. And I'm curious to see where book number 4 is, because that comes up in about 2 or 3 months. I'll be like fully caught up on the series, hopefully before Andrew drops book number 5, because I think he's done with like the final draft of book number 5, so that could come at any given moment. So I need to get caught up on Arcane Ascension before I'm behind even more. I then came back. I was just feeling the call of some big books, and I came back to Raymond E. Feist and January. I don't know why there's still a bookmark in here. I finished this weeks ago. This is Servant of the Empire, and it is a beefy, beefy boy. Now, if you remember last year, I bounced off of this pretty hard, and I'm glad I came back and gave it another go. I completely restarted from the beginning, and once I started, I couldn't put this down. It was probably a good 4 out of 5 for me. Not quite as good as Daughter of the Empire, but still, I really enjoyed this. It felt very, very long. Like, I felt the length of this book. But I still enjoyed the events, the political aspects, and, oddly enough, the romance of it. Once we get out of the initial fumbling stages of the romance aspects of this book, I was okay with it. It was just great coming back to Mara and continuing the rivalry between the Minwanabi and the Akoma clans, and just, the way that plays out. Fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this story. And then City of Songs by Anthony Ryan. This is the third book in the 7 Swords. And these are just short little novella length kind of books. And so far, this one's very good. This one turns out to be more of like a murder mystery. And I'm just kind of chugging on through the series. I've got at least 2 more to read before I'm fully caught up. But I think I've got the 6th one pre-ordered. It just hasn't showed up yet. But I'm interested to see what the rest of the series. I believe Blackfire Keep is the next book that I will read from this one. Again, darker side of fantasy. It's just very easy, very digestible, very easy to read. And this is I always thought that these were like birds flying into a hole on the cover. No, this is a carved statue of like angels falling into like a hell, like sort of being cast down type of deal. You know what I'm talking about. That's kind of what this is. It's a carved sculpture, and this kind of deals with the murder mystery, but as well as like some art aspects. And I really enjoyed this one. Really liked it. And then of course, we're going to save that one for a little bit later. We're going to talk about one of the review copies that I needed to get to. That's The Sins of Kings by Daniel Thomas Valente. And I give this one about a 3.5 out of 5. If this would probably have rated a little higher if we had less POVs, because this is only about 400 pages, and I think we've got like 5 POVs. And I just don't know if that's enough page count to flesh out all of these characters and all of these stories and bring them all together. But man, like if you wanted to know what Joe Abercrombie would be like writing medieval, just straight up fantasy without a grimdark edge, but it would still have that kind of grittiness to it, that's kind of what The Sins of Kings is. Daniel Thomas Valente can write. Like, I like the characterization, I like the voices, I like the prose, I like the pacing, I liked all of that. I would just like to have probably seen maybe one less POV so we could really just kind of flesh out some other characterizations and make it just kind of make me fall in love with certain characters a little bit more. But this one was a really good read. And frankly, I think this one's underrated on Goodreads. So if you look this up on Goodreads, I say ignore that rating and give this one a shot for yourself. And the audiobook is narrated by Ralph Lister. So if you do the audiobook, Ralph Lister elevates everything that he touches. So yeah. Next up, we have got Will White, The Knight. This is the 3rd book in The Last Horizon. And this one really landed for me because we kind of focus a lot on Ryan Wraith. That's him here on the cover. And he's just kind of this bombastic Boy Scout. And I love Ryan. And we get some kind of like, I don't know, Voltron or like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or Gundam Wing style stuff within this book. And it tickled me pink because I was really big into like mechs and stuff like Robotech. All of that. I was really big into that growing up, and this just kind of scratched that itch. This is a very entertaining entry in the Last Horizon series, and I can't wait to continue to see what this one does, because it's got some big battles. It's got some great character moments. We get to kind of sink our teeth into the cast and the crew of the Last Horizon and what they're going through and stuff like that. I really enjoyed this one. And next up, we have got book number 9 in 1,000 Li by Tao Wong, the 3rd cut. And I'm going to tell you what, after the end of the last book, I thought we were going to be revisiting previous locations within this world, but instead we decided to go on one more adventure. Before we do that, we get to meet some old friends, and it was just, I don't know, this one was a lot of fun. I didn't super love the ending. I would have preferred to see that end a different way. But it is what it is. I'm very excited for book number 10 because I believe that is the start of the final arc of the story. And I just can't wait to experience the finale that is going to be 1,000 Li. I think Tao Wong is still planning on writing within this world, but it's been a satisfying journey, so much so that I've read 9 books in this world. And then we've got my 2 favorite reads of the month that I have completed. I've still got 3 other books that I need to show you. But the ones that I've completed that, are both 5 stars. These are my 5-star reads of the month. That is going to be The Martian by Andy Weir and Lord of a Shattered Land by Howard Andrew Jones. This one is not as good as this one. This one is probably my book of the month. Hands down. Very easy. Revolutionizing sword and sorcery. If you missed my review, I'll link that one up in the cards right here. I think that's where it goes. And then The Martian is it's a legend for a reason. I really enjoyed reading this. It was a lot of fun. It was just great, solid sci-fi. It was an adventure. And then this one was just amazing. If you want my full thoughts, please go check out that review. And then we've got 3 books that I've dipped into my July TBR because I'm kind of all over the place. And so one of my patron picks for July that I've dipped into early is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I'm 10% into this. And I like the writing, I like the tone, I like the characterization. I could just do without the sex stuff. So we're going to kind of see how that goes. We're going to play this basically day by day, chapter by chapter. But mostly, like, this is a hit for me, which I was not anticipating because I was told that this was probably not going to work for me. So far, I'm digging it. But, we shall see what happens with that one. And then I am 24% into The Traitors We Are by Michael Roberti. I just like Michael Roberti's writing. This is fantastic. It picks up after The Revenge of Thousands. And this is it's been really, really solid. It's just a dark, gritty fantasy, and I'm here for it with just 2 different factions that are at war for control. So I'm enjoying that one. And then Swan Song. I am about 300-ish pages. I'm 270 pages into Swan Song. Very, very good. I'm really enjoying Swan Song. And yet, I kind of hit 270 and then just went and started reading other things. So I'm kind of on a little bit of a break with Swan Song. It's not that I'm not enjoying it. I just, for some reason, wasn't called to it to come back to it and finish it all in this month of June like I wanted to. However, I'm probably going to come back to this in July and finish it out. That is at least the plan as of right now. But that is my reading wrap-up for June. Lots and lots of reading. A few DNFs. Some amazing books, and just overall a solid reading month. Please let me know in the comments how your month is going, or how your month went, I should say. And that's all I really got for you today, guys. So I hope you're doing well. Till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby.